In the mid-20th century, the American capitalist system stood as the most powerful economic engine in history. At the same time, China remained a deeply impoverished agrarian society, largely cut off from the global industrial core. It creates a startling contradiction. One of America's most successful capitalist icons eventually described the rise of this communist state as the greatest economic achievement ever recorded. This was the view of Charlie Munger. As Warren Buffett's longtime partner, Munger built his reputation by looking past political narratives to focus entirely on measurable results. To understand why a lifelong capitalist would praise a communist nation, we have to look past the political labels and examine the specific mechanical execution of their growth. By the late 1970s, China's economy was stagnant. The country was isolated from global trade, and its industrial output was negligible compared to the West. Extreme poverty was the norm. Most families lived in rural villages like this one, relying on subsistence farming to survive from one season to the next. At the time, no major financial institution or Western government believed China was capable of becoming a global economic superpower within a few decades. But it was exactly this period of stagnation that forced a complete rewrite of the country's economic strategy. In 1978, Deng Xiaoping assumed leadership and began searching for a functional model to replace failing state-run systems. His search led him to Singapore, where he met with Lee Kuan Yew to study how a small island had generated such massive wealth. Singapore had no natural resources, yet it prospered by opening its markets to foreign investment, enforcing strict laws, and creating a highly competitive business environment. Deng realized these free market principles could be adapted to the Chinese context, even if they contradicted traditional communist economic theory. The ambition was to take an economic strategy designed for a city-state of millions and scale it to a population of over 1 billion. This shift was defined by Deng's famous observation: it doesn't matter if a cat is black or white as long as it catches mice. In practical terms, this meant that results mattered more than ideology. If a policy created jobs and raised incomes, the government would implement it regardless of its political origin. To test this, the government established coastal special economic zones, allowing private enterprise and foreign capital to operate within a state-managed framework. This birthed socialism with Chinese characteristics. They integrated market competition into their centralized system, scaling from initial zones to the entire country. By treating economic theory as a flexible tool, the government maintained growth rates that had never been seen before on this scale. Munger frequently noted that modern Chinese leaders reminded him more of naval admirals or technical engineers than the debating politicians found in the West. Instead of debating theory, these leaders focused on identifying physical bottlenecks. They realized that an export-led economy required massive investments in deep-water ports, highways, and reliable power grids. This engineering mindset led to the rapid construction of thousands of kilometers of high-speed rail and modern transportation networks in just over a decade. The result of this focused execution is an undeniable statistical reality. 800 million people have been lifted out of extreme poverty in 40 years. That number is roughly equal to the entire population of the United States and Europe combined. Regardless of one's opinion on their political system, this undeniably remains the most rapid human transformation ever documented. Today, the results of that long-term execution are visible in a skyline that was almost entirely rural just 40 years ago. Chinese industry is no longer limited to basic manufacturing. They now lead in the production of electric vehicles, battery technology, and renewable energy systems. Domestic firms like Huawei and BYD now directly challenge the market share of established American tech giants on the global stage. Viewing this economic machine through outdated Western narratives can lead to significant strategic errors. This leads to Charlie Munger's central point: intellectual honesty requires us to acknowledge extraordinary results, even from a system we oppose. Munger viewed these results through a lens of objectivity, prioritizing accurate observation over taking sides in a geopolitical rivalry. When we allow political dogma to shape our worldview, we lose the clarity needed to make sound decisions in investing and in life. Munger's final lesson is simple: ignore the noise, look past the politics, and focus entirely on the question of what actually works.